November 1939, Thames Estuary, mudflats near Shoeburyness, Essex. 2 parachutes descending through darkness carried weapons that German captains couldn't see, couldn't hear, and couldn't predict. The devices waiting in shallow water required no contact with the hull, no tripwire, no visible trigger. They detected something every steel ship carried but could never hide: a magnetic signature. British engineers had created a weapon that made vessels betray themselves simply by existing. Over the next 5 years, these simple magnetic sensors would sink more than 1,050 Axis ships, while forcing Germany to divert 60% of the Kriegsmarine to countermeasures. The invisible threat became the most cost-effective naval weapon of the war. Every steel-hulled vessel distorts Earth's magnetic field. As the ferromagnetic hull moves through the field, it concentrates and warps the field lines around it, creating a detectable anomaly that travels with the ship like a shadow. This phenomenon is inescapable, unavoidable. British engineers at HMS Vernon, the Royal Navy's torpedo and mining school in Portsmouth, exploited this physical reality to devastating effect. The threat facing Britain in autumn 1939 was immediate. On 3 September, the day war was declared. German U-boats U-13, U-14, and U-17 began laying magnetic mines off Britain's east coast. Within the first week, they sank 4 merchant ships totaling 14,575 gross registered tons. By November, German mines were destroying 27 vessels monthly, totaling 121,000 tons. Britain's maritime communications faced strangulation. German magnetic mines used a dip needle system, essentially a calibrated compass needle that contacted a detonator circuit when a ship's magnetic field deflected it. The approach was simple but effective. Each sinking demonstrated that traditional contact mines, which required physical impact with a hull, had become obsolete. Influence mines detonating from a ship's mere presence represented the future of naval denial warfare. Then came the intelligence breakthrough that changed everything. On the night of 22 to 23 November 1939, a German HE-59 seaplane fleeing anti-aircraft fire dropped 2 mines prematurely into the Thames Estuary mudflats. A soldier witnessed the parachutes descending. Crucially, the Luftwaffe crew had failed to activate the anti-tamper failsafe, a 7-second delay mechanism triggered by a copper strip on an aluminum fitting. Lieutenant Commander John Garnold Delahaye's Ouvry led the recovery team. Ouvry was the lead developer of Britain's own non-contact mines and a render mines safe officer at HMS Vernon. Using specially produced non-magnetic brass tools, he defused the mine on the mudflats while colleagues stood at safe distance. The device was transported to HMS Vernon for analysis. Within 24 hours, physicist Dr. Albert B. Wood and assistants had dismantled the magnetic fuse completely. The captured mine revealed German design philosophy and, more importantly, its vulnerabilities. Commander Charles Frederick Goodeve, a Canadian-British chemist who had joined HMS Vernon in 1939, developed 2 critical countermeasures within 6 weeks. He invented the term degaussing from the Gauss unit of magnetic field strength and created systematic procedures for reducing ships' magnetic signatures. He also developed the double L magnetic sweep, enabling aircraft and ships to trigger mines safely ahead of convoys. But Britain didn't just want to defend against magnetic mines. They wanted to deploy superior versions. The British coiled rod induction trigger represented a fundamental advance over the German dip needle approach. Rather than using a compass needle that pointed toward magnetic disturbances, British mines detected the rate of change in the horizontal component of the magnetic field. This meant detonation occurred precisely when a ship passed directly overhead, at the point of maximum field disturbance, rather than triggering prematurely from a distant vessel. The technical sophistication created a weapon far more difficult to sweep and far more reliable in operation. The primary British aerial magnetic mine, the A Mark V, entered production in August 1940. Total weight reached 1,080 pounds. The explosive charge contained 700 pounds of manol, amatol mixed with approximately 20% aluminum powder. Deployment used parachute drop from 1,000-pound bomb racks fitted to standard bombers. The magnetic trigger could be combined with acoustic sensors for additional complexity. By March 1944, the A Mark VI arrived with enhanced payload. Weight increased to approximately 1,500 pounds. The explosive charge grew to 1,000 to 1,100 pounds of amatol or minol. The combined acoustic magnetic trigger made sweeping far more difficult. The mine could be deployed without parachute from motor torpedo boats, expanding tactical options. Ship-laid ground mines carried even heavier charges. The M Mark III held 1,500 to 1,750 pounds of minel, operating at depths from 6 to 20 fathoms. Acoustic sensors were added in 1943. These weapons turned shallow coastal waters into death traps. The explosive filling deserves attention. British mines used minol, which produced enhanced blast characteristics despite being considered lower quality, compared to pure TNT or RDX. This material choice reflected wartime economic realities. Britain economized scarce explosives while still achieving lethal effect. German mines achieved 60 to 70% explosive-to-weight ratios. British mines range from 57 to 73% depending on type. The difference was optimization, not inferiority. If you're finding this deep dive into British engineering interesting, a quick subscribe helps more than you know. The operational deployment of magnetic mines began on 13 to 14 April 1940. 15. Handley Page Hamptons from RAF Bomber Command dropped 14. A Mark I magnetic mines off the Danish coast, in the Elbe River, Kiel Bay, and Baltic approaches. The operation was codenamed Gardening, with individual target areas named after plants and vegetables. One aircraft was lost on this first mission. Over 5 years, the statistics that emerged demonstrated why magnetic mining became the most cost-effective aerial weapon of the war. RAF Bomber Command laid 47,278 to 48,158 mines. Coastal Command added 936. Total mine-laying sorties reached 19,917. Aircraft losses totaled 450 to 468, approximately 2.3% loss rate. Against these costs, results were extraordinary. 545 merchant ships sinking reached 591,143 gross registered tons. 217 warships went down totaling 147,264 tons displacement. Combined, 762 vessels sank, representing 738,407 tons. An additional 540 vessels suffered damage. The efficiency comparison with direct air attack revealed mining's superiority. In the first 20 months of operations, British aerial mines sank or damaged 164 Axis ships at a cost of 94 aircraft lost. During the same period, direct air attacks on shipping sank just 105 vessels, while losing 300 to 73 aircraft, a six-fold difference in effectiveness per aircraft lost. Specific German losses documented in British records included catastrophic warship sinkings. 22, February 1940, proved disastrous for the Kriegsmarine. The Type 1934 destroyer Z3, Max Schultz, struck a British mine in the North Sea near Doggerbank, sinking with the loss of all 308 crew, one of the worst single-ship casualty events of the naval war. The same day, destroyer Z1 Leberecht Maas, damaged by friendly fire, drifted into a British minefield and sank, killing 280 of approximately 340 crew. In a single day, British mines killed 588 German sailors. U-boats also fell victim to British minefields. U-12 struck a mine in the Dover Strait on 8 October 1939. U-40 followed on 13 October. The Dover Barrage and coastal defensive fields claimed multiple submarines throughout the war, including U-320, 5, U-400, and U-1021 off Cornwall in 1944-45. The German response revealed the weapon's true strategic impact. By 1943, mine countermeasures constituted nearly 60% of all German naval activity. This staggering commitment drained personnel, vessels, and industrial capacity from offensive operations. Germany deployed 679 dedicated minesweeping vessels, 218 M-Booty standard minesweepers, 424 R-Booty auxiliary minesweepers, and 37 surviving World War I-era vessels. At the main base of Cuxhaven alone, 10 flotillas of 8 to 12 boats each maintained constant sweeping operations. The most dramatic countermeasure was the Spurbrecher, or barrier breaker program. Over 100 merchant ships, typically 3,000 to 8,000 gross registered tons, were converted into mine detonation vessels. Filled with buoyant material and fitted with reinforced bows, shock-mounted equipment, and the VES system, massive electromagnetic coils projecting a magnetic field up to 460 meters ahead, these Pathfinder ships were designed to trigger mines at safe distance. Approximately 50% of all Spurbrecher were lost during the war, testament to both the danger of their mission and the effectiveness of British mine design. Germany also pioneered aerial minesweeping using Junkers Ju 52/3MS aircraft fitted with 46-foot diameter aluminum coils. 6 mine search squadrons flew at 125 to 135 miles per hour, just 10 to 20 meters above the water, attempting to trigger mines ahead of convoys. Aircraft flying near continuous detonations suffered predictable losses. A German minesweeper commander later acknowledged brilliant ideas in British mines and the constant pressure of finding more vessels and men and weapons, and shipyards for converting craft into minesweepers. He claimed traffic was rarely interrupted, and never for more than 12 to 24 hours. But the claim conflicted with documented 5 to 10-day port closures during intensive sweeping operations. Comparative analysis reveals why British magnetic detonators earned their fearsome reputation. The German LMB mine weighed 2,116 pounds, with an explosive charge of 1,554 pounds, approximately 70% charge to weight ratio. Length reached 8 feet 8 inches. Diameter measured 25 inches. The dip needle magnetic trigger, later combined with acoustic sensors, achieved sensitivity of 15 milligauss initially, improved to 4 milligauss by 1942. American magnetic mines emphasized payload over subtlety. The Mark 25 primary weapon for Operation Starvation against Japan weighed 1,950 to 2,000 pounds. The explosive charge contained 1,274 pounds of torpex, significantly heavier than British equivalents. American mines carried roughly twice the explosive payload of comparable British designs, reflecting different industrial constraints. Britain optimized for reliability and production efficiency. America prioritized destructive power using high-quality torpex. Technology transfer flowed both directions. Britain developed combined acoustic magnetic triggers first, operational in April 1943, sharing the technology with American developers. The United States provided acoustic trigger assistance to Britain in summer 1942. By war's end, both nations had sophisticated multi-influence mines requiring magnetic, acoustic, and pressure signatures simultaneously, virtually unsweepable with period technology. The strategic calculus proved extraordinary. Mining operations consumed just 5.6% of total Bomber Command sorties, yet accounted for 40% of sinkings of enemy-controlled vessels in northwest European waters. The resource exchange ratio strongly favoured Britain. 468 aircraft lost laying 47,278 mines, resulted in 759 vessels sunk or damaged totalling 730,000 tons. Over 20,000 German personnel remained permanently assigned to countermeasures. 679 plus German minesweepers stayed tied down in sweeping operations. Approximately 100 Speerbrecher were converted from merchant shipping with 50% losses. Admiral Thomas C. Kincaid assessed aerial mining as of the order of 100 times as destructive to the enemy as an equal number of bombing missions against land targets. The time asymmetry was devastating for defenders. It takes 200 times as long to clear a minefield as to lay it. A single Bomber Command sortie dropping 6 mines could occupy German minesweepers for weeks. Mining also provided unexpected intelligence dividends. British cryptanalysts at Bletchley Park used knowledge of mine drop locations as cribs for breaking Enigma traffic. When German naval units reported minefields, the British knew the general content, helping crack the codes. Post-war mine clearance operations quantified the lingering danger. 600,000 plus mines required clearing from European waters, employing 27,000 former Kriegsmarine personnel in the German minesweeping administration from 1945 to 1948. The weapons Britain deployed continued claiming victims for years after the shooting stopped. The genius of British magnetic mine technology lay in exploiting an inescapable physical reality. Steel ships cannot hide their magnetic signatures. Degaussing helped but required constant recalibration. Sweeping helped, but missed mines with ship counters programmed to ignore the first. Several activations. Speerbrecher couldn't clear shallow water safely after Britain developed blunt fuses detonating only in very strong magnetic fields directly under vessels. The psychological impact compounded the physical threat. Prudent captains avoided suspected minefields entirely, accepting longer routes and delayed schedules. The Swedish iron ore routes Germany desperately needed were under constant threat, contributing to the decision to invade Norway. The minefield's existence forced defenders to sweep constantly, reroute traffic and accept delays, costs that accumulated long after the mine-laying aircraft had returned to base. November 1939. Thames estuary mudflats. 2 parachutes descending through darkness. The simple magnetic sensors inside those casings detected what every German captain carried but could never abandon. A steel hull moving through Earth's magnetic field. No radar warning, no periscope sighting, no chance to fight back. Just the knowledge that somewhere beneath the keel, a coiled rod induction trigger waited to detect the slight disturbance of ferromagnetic metal passing overhead. That simple British technology, refined through decades of engineering, became the invisible nightmare that consumed the Kriegsmarine and validated aerial mining as the most efficient means of destroying enemy shipping in World War II. The numbers proved it. British engineering delivered it.